Hey guys, and welcome to my ranking of every single level in the Lego Movie video game. This game only has 15 levels since it's only based on a single movie, and some of those levels are really good, and some of those levels are not so good. Of course, this list is entirely subjective, so my opinions probably aren't going to match up with yours. This is all just based on my personal experience. Now, without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and get started with number 15. So, first up, in last place, we have the depths. This is the 9th level in the game, and it's made up of a smallish submarine area and endless underwater tunnels. The object of the level is to swim to the other side of the submarine, but since that's obviously too easy, you have to go through a huge maze instead to get there. None of this happens in the movie, and I'm not really sure it fits with the rest of the game at all. I don't like underwater levels that much in Lego games anyway, and this is probably the worst underwater level I've ever seen in a Lego game. It was completely made up for the game because they, of course, needed to have more levels to make the game even worth buying because it'd be pretty short just based on what they had in the movie that they could turn into levels. It just really does not work well at all with any other segment in the game. It says the only level in the game that I actually consider to be truly bad, and it more than earns its place at the bottom of this list. Next up, at number 14, we have Bricksburg Construction. This is the first level in the game, not counting the prologue. I didn't count the prologue in this ranking since it's super short and doesn't do a whole lot. And this basically functions as a tutorial for Emmett and the construction workers. It shows you how to use the instructions and the drill he's got to destroy buildings, and it's got the first Everything is Awesome dancing minigame. There's only 2 of them in the game. It might have been nice to have a few more, but I can see how it would get super repetitive if it just kept coming up in every level, because the minigame does take about at least a minute, I'd say. This level actually did happen in the movie, but it wasn't super long. It was just the scene where, of course, all the construction workers are building things and singing the song Everything is Awesome. It's the introduction to the movie as well, and Emmett. Big issue with this level is just that nothing happens. The whole point of it is to build a few things, break a few things. It takes a while to do this. It's not super quick. So it just feels like it drags on for a bit. It's not the most interesting location either. It's just the construction site. It's just the dirt, a few buildings that you have to break, a few instruction machines. At least it actually happened in the game, unlike the last one. Like I said before, this is not a bad level. It's just not as good as the other ones. The only one that's really bad is the depths, which I, of course, already talked about. So let's move on to number 13. At number 13, we have Back from Reality. This is also the 13th level in the game, and it does a good job at setting up the climax, and the level design is pretty good, but the whole level as a whole feels unimportant. I really want to like this level because it does a few interesting things, but the setting is boring, and like the depths, this level does not happen at all in the movie. I think they were trying to play off of the scene in the movie where Emmett builds his mech robot thing that he takes through the city before finding President Business, because that does happen at the end of this level, but it goes off on so many other things, and it's not focused on building the mech, it's focused on escaping the construction site. It is the same construction site from Bricksburg Construction, which I just talked about in the last entry. And it gives you, as characters, it gives you Emmett and Gale, his friend, and then a generic fireman who wasn't in the movie. I don't know why they decided to bring a fireman out, but he does have a unique firefighter ability which doesn't show up with any other character, I think. So at least they tried to do something different with this level. Like I said before, I do like the level design, where with the falling building about halfway through, but it just ultimately feels very unimportant in the grand scheme of the entire game. All it does is get you ready for the last two levels, which I'll talk about in a bit because I love the next two levels. At number 12, we have level 11, which is called Put the Thing on the Thing. Unlike the last three that I've talked about, this level actually happens in the movie, and it's actually one of the most important scenes in the movie, if not the most important scene. It makes me sad that I have it down this low, but it was very, very poorly executed. They really tried to do too much in this level. It has multiple major scenes from the movie, which would normally be good, but it just didn't. The execution was very poor. They did not do a good job with it. It's basically broken into three parts, which is the assembly line, where Emmett and Wildstyle try to pass themselves off as robots while they're building speakers, and the point of it is to build a big speaker and distract all of the robots. The second part is the Craggle security, which was my least favorite part, and it's probably why this level was down so low, because it really dragged on. I'm sure there were some people that really liked it because, of course, it had Emmett and Batman, which was nice, and, of course, it had Benny's little argument with Siri involved, but the Craggle security took me way longer than it should, and then it ended with a scene in President Business's think tank, which was interesting enough and had a nice little boss battle type arena style area, which was interesting, but the Craggle security segment really puts this level down, and like I said, it tries to do too much. It was poorly executed. Everything other than the Craggle security feels rushed, and I think we could have had one or two more important scenes from the movie that they skipped over to have the long Craggle security scene, which, actually, now that I think about it, the Craggle security doesn't make much sense either. You're just scooting around in the scaffolding, trying to get into the Craggle's case, or the laser cage, while installing too, while Benny tries to get the cage turned off, and it just tries to do way too much, and it comes off as pretty uninspired, sadly. For number 11, we're going back to levels that were almost completely made up for this game and don't have much bearing on the story at all, with Welcome to Cloud Cuckoo Land. This is the 6th level, and of course it functions as the introduction to the Cloud Cuckoo Land area, which I guess is okay. I wasn't a huge fan of it in the movie, and I like it less here, but I know a lot of people really like Cloud Cuckoo Land, and it does have its merits. It's just my opinion, but I don't really like this level, mainly because not a lot happens. I really did, when I went back and played it, so I could talk more about it, because I completely forgot it existed when I was putting it in my list. It wasn't memorable at all. I really enjoyed the quiet, cloudy area at the start. I enjoyed the fact that all of the clouds were made up of Legos. I really like that aesthetic with this game. I didn't say that before, but I love the look of this game where everything is made out of Legos. I really hope that they do that again with some future Lego games. I know they aren't going to in the Skywalker saga, it doesn't look like, but hopefully after the Skywalker saga, maybe one or two of the newer ones we get will have that all Lego buildings and stuff like that. It's really neat to me. But the biggest thing that is a problem in my opinion with this level is actually once you get into Cloud Cuckoo Land, it's just an unlikable area, and the point of the level once you get inside Cloud Cuckoo Land is to climb up to the dog where of course all the master builders meet, which was a really neat scene in the movie, but they didn't do a whole lot with it in this game. And the biggest reason I don't like with the level design isn't the best getting up there. You're just basically climbing up and solving one or two puzzles that aren't that interesting. But the biggest issue with that whole segment to me is actually Unikitty. And I know she is important to Cloud Cuckoo Land, and I know she's very important in the movie, but I really don't like Unikitty in this game. She's my least favorite character to play as, and it's mostly because of her movement. I think it's the way she hops instead of walking like other minifigures. I know she's not a minifigure, of course, and it's important to be close to the movie, but the way she hops, it's difficult for me to control, and it just makes it less fun to play as her because I can't really control where she's headed as well. I would probably like this level a lot better if she didn't feel like you're forced to play her a lot of the time because of course it's her level, it's her introduction. They're trying to introduce the rainbow bricks mechanic, but overall I just wasn't a huge fan of Cloud Cuckoo Land's introduction. At number 10, we have Flatbush Rooftops, which is the 5th level in the game, and it's the second to last level in Flatbush, or the western area. It makes me really sad that I had to put this level down this low. It's like, obviously, it's the lowest western level. I really like the western levels. In my opinion, the western hub is the best part of the game. I loved the aesthetic of the western area, but this level just doesn't do it for me. It was pretty good the first time around, like I enjoyed it in story mode, but going back afterwards, either to play it again in story mode or to collect the collectibles in free play, it just felt a bit tedious. I think that has to do with the level design being very linear. You pretty much just go in a line and fight some robots, and then go in a line and fight more robots, and it just, after a while, it seems to drag on. Even though it's not a super long level or anything, it just feels too long because it feels like more of the same. And it's that tediousness may come to me because I played this a lot before, like before I had the game. This level is the demo for the game, and I'd played that demo multiple times in the past. Like, it's been years, but used to play that demo a lot, so maybe it's just too familiar for me. But it was not enjoyable to me after the first time through. The good thing about this level, though, is Vitruvius had great writing in this with his sarcastic comments about being blind and going over the perfectly safe ledges. After the second or third time, the joke did start to get old or something, but it was still funny enough. It was funnier than me anyway, so it had that going for it. Overall, it's an okay level, but I feel very middle of the road on it. Wasn't the best, but it definitely wasn't the worst either. For number 9, we have Attack on Cloud Cuckoo Land, which is the 7th level in the game, and I'll be honest, I don't remember a whole lot about this level. I played it yesterday, so I don't know why I would forget about it, but I guess it's just not super memorable like the other Cloud Cuckoo Land level. It's pretty average, though. It's got a lot of nice dramatic moments, but still middle of the road. Everything is on fire, everything's going crazy, which makes it feel a little bit chaotic, but in a good way. I was wrong previously, by the way, when I was talking about the Back from Reality level. It did not introduce the fire mechanic. This Attack on Cloud Cuckoo Land level 7 introduced the fireman mechanic, where you actually have Wild Style drive a vehicle to put out one of the fires, or a couple of the fires that are blocking your path. And I don't have a whole lot to say about this level. It was okay. Wasn't the best, but it was okay. Also, I didn't mention it before, but every single level from Cloud Cuckoo Land gets at least a couple merit points, because Batman's commentary on what's going on in these levels is absolutely priceless. Batman is hilarious in this game. He's probably the best part of the game. I'm not a huge Batman fan, but Batman in this game is absolutely the best part of the game, by far. At number 8, we have Broadcast News, which is the 12th level in the game, and this right here, at 8 and up, is really where the levels start to get good. At least part of each of the levels going forward from here are at least partially excellent. There's something that really makes them stand out. I really liked a lot of these, and I loved Broadcast News a lot. The first half is excellent, where you're in the TV studio and you have to broadcast Wild Style out to all of the different kingdoms, or whatever they called it in the movies, to let them know about Lord Business. And the level design is very memorable, and you have the audience of the show who's half cheering you on, half they're just making noise. I don't know. This also includes Benny's spaceship moment, which I remember when I was younger and I watched this movie for the first time. I loved Benny's spaceship moment, his pure joy and the mania of getting to build a spaceship. That was really funny to me when I was younger, and it doesn't disappoint in this level. My only issue with this level is the second half in the server room, where you actually do build the spaceship. It gets very repetitive. It was fine the first time you had to blow some stuff up as Metalbeard, and then build it together to build part of the spaceship, but then it wasn't nearly as fun when I found out I had to do it 2 more times. And it was a little bit like, I would say if you've played the complete saga, but I'm sure everybody who's watching this has played the complete saga, it's like where you had to solve the puzzles. Most of the puzzles involved getting C-3PO to a certain spot. That's what's happening here with Metalbeard, because Metalbeard can't jump or climb anything, which the puzzles just weren't the greatest either. It was mostly just Benny doing the hacking minigame, which is okay, but it takes a little while. And, of course, Metalbeard walks really slow, just like C-3PO. But if it wasn't for the second half being repetitive, this level would be probably in the top 4, if not, like, maybe number 2 or 3. So at number 7, I have Infiltrate the Octane Tower. Again, not a bad level, actually a very, very good level. Almost every segment of it is excellent. I'd say the weakest is probably the 3rd, where again you have puzzles with getting Metalbeard up and down areas because he can't jump, he moves really slowly. It's still a bit of a burden to use Metalbeard, which is a shame because I loved his character in the movie. He was a very interesting character, but not the best in the game. The first part on the ship was excellent, where just like the movie, you're going around collecting instructions to build I think it's a delivery spaceship, to sneak into Octane Tower, to infiltrate the Octane Tower, like it says in the title. I, I do think it's a bit ironic that Metalbeard has rules about putting your rear end on his face, but not about destroying his ship. They blew up the whole front of the ship. They could have sunk. It was a really bad idea. I have issues with that. They just almost sank. I didn't want to do another water level. But combat section after that is pretty decent. I'd say it's the only spot in the game where Metalbeard actually gets a moment to shine. That's pretty interesting with his cannons and just getting to throw things and stuff like that. Of course, that comes back in levels I'm going to talk about soon. Not with Metalbeard, with other characters, but stuff like that was one of the better aspects of the game, I'd say. And of course, the relic room from the movie was very interesting, and I had a good time walking through and trying to come up with the names that President Business came up with, because of course he had the knife of Exact Zero and stuff instead of an Exacto knife in the movie. So I was walking around the relic room thinking, rubber band-aid, or, something. That didn't even make sense. I don't know. But anyway, really good level. It would be higher, but some of the others that came after it were just a little better. They had more going for it, and I'll get to those in a second. At number 6, I have Escape from Bricksburg, which is the second level in the game. Everything in this level is good. A lot happens, but not too much. Like in Put the Thing on the Thing, everything was handled very well. A small plus to this level is free play is fun with flight. And most of the levels with flight characters, there are invisible barriers in the air where you'll start to fly and then the entire level will just stop and you can't go anywhere. And you have to do more of the level or you just can't get to a spot at all, which is really frustrating if you want to get there. There are pretty much no barriers in this level, which made free play a lot more fun. The highway scene was excellent, where you had Emmett driving, or trying to drive at least, on the highway with the motorcycle, and Wildstyle was hopping from vehicle to vehicle, blowing up gas tanks and probably, getting in more trouble than you should in a kid's game. I think the best part of this level, and probably the part that put it up this high, is the bad cop Easter egg. If you don't know, there's a chair in the corner of the first area where if you activate the chair, or activate the circle in front of the chair, as bad cop in free play, he'll drop kick it over the side of the room, which is, I think that happens in the movie. I know he at least beats up a chair in the movie. And I think that's a hilarious little Easter egg. I never would have found it if there wasn't an achievement attached. So if you haven't done that before, you should go do that. Now you know. Anyway, Escape from Bricksburg, pretty good. After this, of course, is the top 5. The top 5 is really where they start getting, no complaints. I barely had any complaints about this one. Actually, I don't think I did. Either way, it's very good level. That's all I have to say about it. Starting off our top 5, the final showdown, which is, of course, the final level in the game and the final boss. This is where you are fighting President Business, or not really President Business, but his robot thing is, I guess it's a giant micromanager, so he's fighting his normal sized regular manager. And I think it's a pretty interesting boss fight, but I know a lot of people have an issue with it because It's not how it happened in the movie, and it's not at all his, like, he doesn't have a redemption in this level like he does in the movie. Of course, in the movie, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you have, but just in case, of course, President Business is talked into having the antidote for the Craggle in his giant flowery watering can. But I think they handled it pretty well. I know they couldn't just have President Business give up on his whole plot, because that wouldn't have made a very climactic last level, so they did well with what they had. I think they used, I told you before I don't like Unikitty that much, but I think they used Rage Kitty pretty well, where she's angry and she breathes fire for some reason. The biggest letdown in this level is free play. I had to go through the level multiple times to get all the collectibles because I couldn't figure out how to get to some of them. Of course, when you're small, everything, you can barely see yourself because everything's supposed to be giant, and it's really hard to tell when you're supposed to get what collectibles, because there, like I said before, like there are a lot of barriers in a lot of the levels, and this is probably the worst about it. But just looking at it as a story mode basis, this is one of the best levels, possibly maybe third, not counting free play. Also, easily the best part of the level is Gandalf's cameo, which is pretty hilarious to me. I'm glad they threw that in there because he doesn't really get an appearance in the game at all before this. Of course, he had an argument with Dumbledore, if I remember correctly, in the movie, which that was hilarious, but didn't happen here. That's all I really have to say about this level too. It's a good boss fight. It's pretty short. It's not the longest level. Let's keep moving on to number 4. At number 4, I have Escape from Flatbush, which is the last western level in the game. It's level number 5. Everything about it is excellent. There's not a whole lot to say. Everything is really good. I love the moving train aesthetic, and it really feels like a western, like a sci-fi / western thing, which is a weird mix. That doesn't happen much, but I know the moving train is a stereotype. They use it in a bunch of western movies, but it never really gets old. It's always exciting, and they used it really well here. It's translated really well from movie to game. I think this is possibly the best level on terms of accuracy to the movie. I know this is a bit longer, of course, than it was in the movie because they had to have some sort of challenge to it. The game can't play just like the movie, but they did a really good job with this level. It's one of my favorites. It's not the best, but it's really, really super close to the best. Heading into our top 3, we have Escape from Cloud Cuckoo Land, which is the last Cloud Cuckoo Land level of the bunch, and easily the best. It's the 8th level in the game, and just like the last level, like Escape from Flatbush, it feels very fast. It's very exciting. They do everything right pretty much in this level. The best part about it, I'd say the thing that puts it above Escape from Flatbush, even though I like the Western feel better, is the sense of progression where you're slowly building up the submarine. I think they pulled that off excellently. It was really exciting the first time through, and it didn't really lose any of its excitement. Of course, Batman, like I said before, Batman is hilarious in Cloud Cuckoo Land. Vitruvius is really good in this level. I think this is the first level where we get to play as Benny too, which is always good. I loved Benny when I was younger. Overall, again, like the last one, not a whole lot to say. It's just an excellent level, and they pulled everything off very well. As our runner-up to the best level in the Lego Movie video game, we have in second place Flatbush Gulch, which is the third level and is, of course, the introduction to the western area, which I said already is my favorite area in the game. I love the aesthetic, and the fact that the entire desert is all Legos just makes it better. And I don't know, honestly, how you could ask for a better introduction to a level, not counting the Rainbow Tunnel, which of course we'd already seen before. I think it's called Rocks and Rolls or something like that, where Wildstyle was surfing down the hill, Emmett is rolling and screaming in pain, which I guess that's not the best, but where you're heading down the hill and everything is happening at once, and you cross the mine carts, you go off the giant ramp, and you're getting arrows shot at you by the Indians. And this is all completely rendered in Legos. It's all brilliant. It's all beautiful. I don't know if you could ask for better. The only down with this level that keeps it from being the best is the free play took me forever to get all of the golden instructions going down the hill. There was one in particular, I always fell off of the minecart after coming out of the tunnel. It was really frustrating for me, but that wasn't even enough to put this lower on the list. It's such a good level. It's very well designed, and of course, like I said before, the fact that it's all Legos is absolutely brilliant, and I really want to see more of that in the future. And finally, coming in at first place, as you may have guessed already, we have Bricksburg Under Attack. This is an amazing level. This is possibly one of the best levels TT Games has ever made, actually. I know that the Lego Movie game is nowhere near as good as some of their licensed games, but in this level, they took everything good about the Lego Movie and the game, but mostly the movie focused on it more than the game, and the movie's better than the game. They take everything the movie did, and they just run with it. And it's perfect. You not only have Emmett with his it's a robot suit thing, but it's got like wrecking balls and cranes. I don't know what to call the thing. And he's going down, but he's also accompanied by more licensed characters, which I wish we would have gotten more licensed characters other than Batman and most of the story. But we've got Superman, we've got Wonder Woman, we've got Green Lantern, and it is really good, and it's exciting, and it makes a great setup for the last level. And plus you get Flight for the very first time in this level, which really, Flight opens up levels and you can play it in a different way. It makes free play easier too, because you can fly up to any platform you want, and just makes it all that more exciting. Of course, playing as Superman is always going to be a plus. And I know I complained about linearity before in earlier levels, but in this level, it really doesn't matter. It's done so well. You're basically going down one long road, and you're trying to fight off the micromanagers, you're trying to fight off the robots, anything that's thrown at you, to get to your final destination, which is, of course, the last level with President Business. And with that concludes our ranking of every single level in the Lego Movie. Congratulations if you made it through that whole video. You're probably the only one that did. I thought it would be a good idea to try and record this entire video with it being unscripted and just do everything right off the top of my head. And that did not go well at all. That is a hot mess. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't upload it, but I'm going to anyway, because I put in too much time to just get rid of it. And I didn't want to record it again, because I'm lazy. But anyway, if you actually made it to the end of this, thank you. And be sure to leave suggestions in the comments. And if you like or subscribe, that'd really help me, because I'm still trying to figure out what exactly I want to do. Anyway, thank you, and I'll see you next time.